All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our next Wednesday team training and inspiration. Thanks for hopping on for those of you that are here. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure you catch the whole thing because I know this is going to be awesome. And we all know that most of our business is done on social media, and it's important that we are putting our best foot forward while also forming a connection with the people that we're talking to, making sure we're talking to the right people in the right way, but also in the most strategic way that's benefiting our business, is good for your time spent online, that you're not wasting time doing the wrong things and that you're paying attention to doing the right things and all of that. And so we're kind of going to hit this from all angles today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that you should make sure that you're doing, make sure you're paying attention to, a little bit of strategy, a little bit of to-do list type of things to just kind of include into your social media. And then Cassie's going to give a great overview of how she is really honing in on adding value to people and forming a connection with the right people, serving them in the best way so that they know and like and trust her, so that when she does bring up Plexus to them, either personally or in her feed or in her stories, it's well received and they trust her word and they kind of honor her opinion and all of that, and eventually join her team. So some things that I want to talk about a little bit is that I want to make sure, especially if anybody's new watching this or anyone on your team that might join or start sharing, is that Plexus needs to not be your whole life, because it's not your whole life. You might have kids, you might have pets, or you might have hobbies or whatever, and you need to make sure that those things are the important highlights. And Plexus is just one of those things. And so you might have 5, 10, 12, 15 things that you're interested in or that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And it's important to include those and just sprinkle in Plexus as a little piece of that. And so maybe all of us might be really good at that because we've been in this business for years, but I think it's important for us to mention that to people who are just getting started and they're really excited, and all of a sudden they are 4 days in and their Facebook page has become a Plexus infomercial. And nobody wants to see that. And even if you're sharing great, impactful testimonies, even if you're sharing awesome videos, or even if you're going live and talking about some really great experiences that you're having on the products, that's awesome. But if every single thing you're talking about is about Plexus, and maybe not everybody is ready to hear that 100% of the time, it's going to turn off a lot of people. And the point here is for you to share content that is engaging, is interesting, is going to form a connection, is adding value, and then Plexus is a piece of that. And so when they start seeing all of your content and they realize that you are someone worth paying attention to, they're also going to pay attention to your Plexus content when you share that as well. And so it's important to take a look at the types of things that you're posting and make sure that your intervals between posts are long enough to where one post isn't crowding over the top of another post. So you're waiting a few hours between posts, right? You're not posting like 1 hour, then the next hour, then the next hour, but also making sure you're having 1, 2, maybe 3 personal posts between every Plexus post, because we know that not everybody is online every single time you're posting, but the people that are seeing your posts might be seeing the one you post in the mornings, and maybe they're seeing the one you also post at night. So if you're posting a Plexus thing in the morning and then something personal midday and then another Plexus thing at night, it might be the same person seeing both posts and they're like, oh, all this girl's posting now is Plexus, right? So you want to make sure that you're adjusting your times, but also posting Plexus at different times so that the same people aren't seeing the same thing. Does that make sense? So if imagine if I was somebody who only looked at my social media feed at 6 a.m. when I got up in the morning, and that was it. That's the only time. Are you only posting Plexus every day in the morning? If you are, change that up and think about who you're talking to. And first of all, make sure your content is relevant to them, which I know Cassie will probably touch on in a little bit, of how to connect with, certain groups of people and who might have similar interests to you. But also, when are they online? I'm a mom of young kiddos. I really only get time to be online first thing in the morning, maybe nap time and bedtime. That's it. If I'm a working professional, my schedule might be completely different. I might have a certain amount of breaks in the mid-morning and mid-afternoon, or maybe my lunch break. Or I might be on, conference calls certain parts of the day, and I get dinner time is like, sweet, it's 5 p.m., I'm off work, so 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 p.m. is a really great time for your crowd. So think about when your people are online and when they're going to be on social media, and make sure that at those times they're seeing a different piece of content at those places, if that makes sense. So it's not like every day at 5 p.m. you're sharing Plexus. Sprinkle it in at nighttime sometimes, sprinkle it in the morning sometimes, sprinkle it in midday when you need to. Just adjust your timing so that you don't look like a Plexus infomercial to anybody that is in your feed. But now that I'm saying that, it's important for you to fill your feed, fill your friends list, fill your followers list with people that are going to relate to your content. I said this before and I'll say it again. I share things that relate to moms of young kids. I am not sharing things that are, CrossFit testimonies for people that are athletes, because that's not me. That's not who I am. I don't share a lot of testimonies from medical professionals because that doesn't relate a lot to my network, because my network is a lot of stay-at-home moms with little kids. And so I'm really specific about what kinds of things that I'm sharing, and I know that I filled my feed with people who are going to relate to that content. And you can find these people however you want to. You can find them with, hashtags, you can find them in interest groups, you can find them however you want to find them, right? But I think it's important to understand who you're speaking to and not share things that aren't true to who you are. And as these people are seeing your content, making sure that they're getting a variety of content all the time, because keep in mind that just like you and me, they only have specific times of day when they're scrolling their feed too. They're not on it all day long looking at every single post of yours. And I think I read the other day, I think it's like 6 to 10% of your entire friends list is seeing your content. That's barely anybody. So to just dumb it down, if you had 100 friends, you're only 6 to 10 people are seeing your content at any given time. So if you have, 1,000 friends on Facebook, you're looking at 60 to 100 people, which is not very many people when you think about it. And so you want to make sure you're always growing your followers or friends list, but it's with the right people who are going to relate to your message, because not that many people are going to see it. And so you need to make sure that it's powerful, whatever that is. And you don't want to turn them off by sharing something they're not going to relate to, sharing too much of one thing that they're not interested in, or also sharing too much of your offer, which is Plexus. So I want you to just kind of be aware of all those things. And like I said, know when in the day they're going to be on. And when you're sharing content, I think it's important to know what's going to take priority versus other content. And this is going to be like on Facebook and Instagram. Video is king, and specifically on Facebook, live video is going to be given the most airtime of anything else. Any other type of content is going to be live video. And so I suggest that now you look at the rest of your month and think about when you can go live on anything. And actually, I prefer it wasn't about Plexus, unless it's something very specific that you're talking about. Maybe it's a specific testimony you want to highlight or whatever, product feature or something like that. But I would actually go live sharing something that everyone else can relate to that's not about Plexus, because Plexus is going to be a really specific audience of people that are ready to hear that information. But something that's unrelated to Plexus is going to be a little bit more well received because it might be more broad in range. For example, I love to cook, so I go live cooking, and it's getting a great response from my network. I have people messaging me, commenting through my stories and saying how much they love it. And these are potentials, right? These are people that I'm forming a relationship with. I'm adding value to them. I'm giving them something to take away from me and see that I am someone worth paying attention to. So live video is number one. Second is pre-recorded video. That's going to give the second most visibility on social media. The third would be a photo. So if you have any type of photo content, but not salesy graphic content, you want a photo of you, hopefully that has your face in it. That would be preferred. Second is just going to be only text, or second, what is that? Fifth, what am I saying? Fourth, whatever number I'm on, is going to be text only content. And then the very last thing is going to be a link to an outside web page. So when you're sharing links and things, Facebook doesn't want people navigating off of Facebook somewhere else. Even if it's a YouTube video, they're actually happier if you share a native Facebook post, like you're sharing someone's video from Facebook. They give that more visibility than they would like a YouTube link or an article that you're linking to or whatever. That's why we always recommend putting articles in the comments, because Facebook wants to keep you on Facebook. They don't want you to go anywhere else. So I highly recommend live video, and then pre-recorded video, then photos, not any graphics, just photos of people, real life, normal things. And then text only. If you ever post that, I highly recommend you not posting anything without any type of video or photo or something. And just know that you don't have to have groundbreaking content. It doesn't need to be mind-blowing in any way. What it needs to be is consistent. It needs to reflect your passions, whatever they are, but you need to show up consistently. And if you're someone who's thinking, okay, I can probably get a post out in the morning and at lunchtime most days of the week, then you need to commit to that, because that shows those people who are online at those times that they can count on your content. And it doesn't need to be anything that's going to be earth-shattering. It really just needs to be consistent content, because even if it's not anything completely incredible, they know that they can count on you, right? And I oh my gosh, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Brooke Castillo on her podcast or something, but she was like, stop trying to have A+ work all the time. It's allowing you to be too much of a perfectionist. You're procrastinating and you're not getting the work done. When if you would realize that B+ work is getting the job done just the same. And often people don't even notice the difference between A+ work and B+ work. So get over yourself and not stop trying to think of this perfect content that's going to be so great every single day and putting all this pressure on yourself when it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be something that delivers some kind of message on a consistent basis. And whatever that is for you is what you need to stick to, because you're speaking to those people in your network at those certain times a day, and you want to be a consistent presence on their social media feed all the time. So I just encourage you to hone in on when your times are. Kind of think about what your content is going to be, and know that obviously we encourage you thinking about it a little beforehand, not try and make a bunch of posts on the fly, but don't go through your day thinking I have nothing to share, I have nothing to share. Just what's going on in your life. Whatever you're doing right now is probably directly related to somebody in your network. I have, toddler at home. I have preschooler. I am making meals. I'm, in the morning getting off to school, like all those things I know are relatable to other moms in my network. It sounds mundane, and the things that you know and that you're going through seem normal to you, but they're very interesting and relatable to other people, because they want to know that you are going through the same thing that they're going through. And I love to include something in your content that requires some type of response. And it could be asking a question, it could be getting advice about something, whatever it may be. Again, it doesn't need to be anything crazy. It could be like, do you have a pool at your house? I'm thinking of getting a pool. Like, this is my backyard, like with a photo. I'd love for you to include a photo. Show me your pools, or does anybody have a pool? Do they love it? Is it worth the upkeep? Whatever, right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just something that is going to solicit some type of interaction, because the more people interact with your content, the more they are going to see your content in their feed. And that goes for you interacting with their content. The more you interact with their content, the more they're going to see your stuff in your feed. And as it goes for asking questions and soliciting interactions on your social media feed, there is power in polarizing questions that are positive, right? So there's a difference between a polarizing question that is going to require a negative response from somebody or solicit a negative response, right? You can probably all think of questions that if you asked on social media, somebody's going to come out with some kind of negative bashing, and it's going to bring negativity to your profile. Even if that's your opinion on something, I urge you to not bring it up on your social media feed, because your social media is your business. And hopefully you've realized that by now. But the point is, you don't want to be attracting any kind of negativity to your profile at all. And so I encourage you, if you're going to post something asking for opinions on something, or even your opinion on something, it should be something that's not going to solicit any type of negative emotion in anyone in your feed. That goes for your written content as well. Keep it positive, keep it informational, keep it interesting, all of that. Or if it's some kind of lesson that you've learned or something you've gone through that might be seen as a negative experience, you should always share the learning, the teaching moment, what you got out of it. So don't just share the nitty gritty. Yes, you want to share the vulnerability and all of that. You want to be real and share people the journey, but you want to leave people with a positive uptick at the end. You want to leave them with a lesson that they've learned. You want to leave them feeling some positive kind of way, not a negative kind of way. And I don't know if you guys knew this about me, but I took a lot of communication classes because my degrees are in advertising and PR and also psychology. And so I took a lot of argumentative communication. So when people do debates and people do things like that, it's important when you're like presenting two sides of something, for example, or if you're trying to prove your point, you don't want to highlight the negative of the other. You only want to highlight the positive of yours. So that's important. So if you're going to bring up something like, oh, I don't like oranges because I don't like peeling them and I don't like the smell, but I love apples because they're crisp and cold, whatever. You don't need to say anything about the orange. Don't say anything about the orange, because it's going to get all the people that like oranges to come say like, what is wrong with you? I love oranges, right? Get out, stop. Don't even say anything about the oranges. Say, oh my gosh, you guys, I had the best apples today. I got them from XYZ and they were just delicious and sweet and juicy. You got to go get some, right? And everyone's gonna be like, oh my gosh, thank you. I got apples from there. I want to go get it, right? So it solicits more positivity than something that's negative, because you're going to get the people who have the opposing opinion from you. They're going to start bashing, and that's the opposite of what you want. So I want you to think about that when you share content that is an opinion, to not ever share the negative piece of the opinion, just share the positive, because you're going to get the people who are more agreeable and you're not going to provoke any type of negative emotion. And so that's something that I see a lot of in social media right now, and it can damage your credibility. It can damage people's trust in you. People don't need to know what you don't like, but it's really great for people to relate to what you do like. So I want you to be known for that, not known for the things that you're opposed to, but known for the things that you love. And sharing those things that you love with the right people at the right times is important. So that is my little piece, and I'll get off my soapbox, but I'm excited for you to hear what Cassie has to say, because she's done an amazing job just branding herself and creating a community of people that trust her and love her and are really excited to do business with her because of what she's been sharing. And she's going to give us some information about how to do that in the best way, so people know, like, trust you, relate to you, so that they hopefully join your team. So take it away, Cassie.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? Is that we are attracting the right kind of people. Now, I'll tell you, when I first started sharing, I think I was just super desperate. I was like, anybody that is breathing, come join my team, right? I was like, just come join me. But what I've learned over the few years is the importance of attracting like-minded people to yourself. You were not designed to be everything to everyone, okay? Because that is a heavy burden to bear when you are sending mixed messages because you're trying to cover all the bases. So I want you to really focus. Allie did a great job about talking about really narrowing down who you're talking to. And for me, that was super scary at first, because I was like, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into like one little group, because like I'm going to alienate all these other people. But what I found is that by going smaller, going more targeted, clarifying my message so I know who I'm talking to and what my message is, that the people that I was looking for and the people I'm looking for, it is speaking loudly to them. And so I value really, really looking at what are your passions, what kind of people you want to hang out with. Because, you know, like in this Plexus business, we are all hanging out together all the time. Who do you want to work with? Who are the kind of people you want to day in and day out spend your time with? Those are the people, okay? A lot of times when we're looking at who is our audience, it was probably a version of ourselves just a few years ago, okay? We're going to look at in just a minute how to find your ideal customer. This is an exercise that I've done a couple times, and it has been probably the most fruitful activity that I've done as far as social media. So narrowing down your niche, finding your niche. Some people call it a niche. I have no idea how to say it, but narrowing down, figuring out exactly who you are speaking to. They say on social media, the person with the clearest message wins. That's because everyone on social media has a message. And you have very, very, very limited time to get someone's attention. And so if you don't even know who you're talking to and you don't know what your message is, nobody else does either. And so you're going to literally miss everyone. It's kind of like, you know, you're not going to ever hit a home run. Like you just won't. You're just going to keep swinging and swinging and swinging. But if you wait, you kind of pull back and you selectively, they kind of talk about like slow down so that you can speed up. That's what we're talking about. I want you to get right where you know exactly what, you know, if you're waiting for the fastball to come down the lane, you wait. If a curveball's thrown, you don't like you just have to get to a place where you're willing to spend some time to focus in, because when you focus in and you get a home run, you guys, that's everything. You don't need a whole lot of business builders on this. And the way the Plexus compensation plan works, guys, you don't need hundreds. You don't need hundreds. You need a handful of people that are influential, that have an amazing work ethic, and that are coachable. You guys, they're out there. It's just a matter of whether or not you can connect with them. Okay. So narrowing down your niche, you want to really look at, okay, what do you want to be known as the go-to girl for? Okay. What is something that you're passionate about? You know, and something I love that Allie is passionate about cooking, because I have zero idea about that. I could never speak to people like about that. Never. But my passion is people that are raising special needs kids, people that are going through adoption, people that are really kind of burnt out and exhausted. That's because that's where I've been. So that is my passion. I want to be known as the girl who, if you are walking through a hard season, or maybe you're in the season where you're like, I want more for my life, that's who I am speaking to. I'm speaking to the one who is kind of at rock bottom, midlife crisis, has a bunch of kids, and wants more out of life. Okay. So that's who I'm speaking to. Self-care is a huge thing that I talk about, because that is something my niche, moms are exhausted. And that is something I focus on. So when you're looking at your niche, what problem do you want to solve for them? What solutions do you have for them? And that is the beautiful thing about Plexus is, you know, when a new product comes out, or, you know, we have 15, 17 products or something like that, you guys don't feel like you have to market every single product. Okay. If you feel like Joy-Own, like you have people who really care about maybe, you know, the health of their skin and kind of the beauty aspect, guys, you could build an entire business on Joy-Own itself. Okay. But if you are somebody that is an athlete and you have a lot of people that really care about sports performance, you guys better be talking a whole lot about active and about metaburn and lean. So when you are talking about Plexus, the products that you have, do not feel like you have to market every single product all the time. Speak to your niche, the problem that they have. Okay, so I am talking to exhausted moms. Do you know how amazing Active is for exhausted moms? Metaburn and Active, and then Slim. I'm like, here you go. Like, this will solve all your problems. So I want you to really look at the solution that you have through these products. We all have the same products, but guys, they offer vastly different solutions. So picking the solution that you want to, maybe it's self-care, maybe it's weight loss, it can go in a million different directions, but focus on what your niche wants. Okay. Because I know my niche could care less. Like at this point, the breast health, the breast check kit, my niche is like, dude, I'm just trying to survive through the day. So I don't talk about that a whole lot. But yet my mother-in-law, she talks about it to all of her people, because her network, they're all walking through some scary things in their age. And so just look at what is going on, what your network needs, and feel like you have the freedom to market the products in the way that is best going to show up and serve the people that you are speaking to. Okay. So as you are identifying your niche, I would love for you to spend like 5-10 minutes and just write out what the problems are that you think your network has. Okay. Do they have limited income? Because if they do, you'd better be sharing about the income opportunity, right? Do they, is it one of their problems? Time. Like they're busy professionals and they have zero time, but yet that might be something they are desperate for time. Okay. So be thinking about, I would love for you just to sit out and like, what are the problems that people in this area are focused on? What, when they go to bed at night, what are they thinking about? Because that is going to help you craft your message. Okay. As you kind of get into this, I always thought, oh, I'm going to tell my story and it's going to inspire people. That's not how it works at all. Because if I'm just telling my story, I'm the hero of my story. And nobody goes to a movie and wants to watch the hero, and yet there's no connection. So what it is that you want to be a guide for someone. Like I have learned my story honestly doesn't matter, straight up. The only part that they need to know is that, yeah, I've been there. I have been there. I had that problem and I found a solution. But the hero is them. You care more about them than about your story. Because if we're just talking about, yay, like this was me and now this is me, you know, and look what I did, they disconnect real fast. People don't care about your story. They care about their story and how you may have a solution that supports their story. Okay. And that's a big shift for a lot of people. Okay. It is a others focused way of storytelling. Because for me, for a long time, I was like, well, if I just share my story and I inspire somebody, most of the time they check out and they think, oh, well, that's nice for her. But they don't see a lot of times that where they're at, I have a solution for their problem and I can help them get there. I'm a guide for them. I'm just walking them through as I have walked through it. And the reason that I'm qualified to be a guide is because I've been there and I've done that and I've come out the other side. So one thing that I will tell you that is before I do anything on social media, I think about, I want to be interested instead of interesting. Because if it is all about me and my story and what I'm doing, then that's a pretty lonely place, right? Nobody cares, honestly. Like nobody really cares about what I'm doing. But if I am interested in what is happening in their lives, that changes it. And then we have a connection. We can build a bridge. So anytime you do anything, think about, okay, like, yeah, I can share my what I'm doing, what I'm, adding value, but more than anything, to be interested in other people's stories. So vulnerability. Vulnerability is really the key here. Vulnerability does not mean disclosure. Vulnerability does not mean you go out and you share your messy life to your social media place, okay? That's not true vulnerability. That's like throwing up everything that you're like, man, this is me. You guys, social media is a place that can be used for such good, and it can be a place for connection. But you have to protect. There are some things you don't need to talk about on social media because there are some things that just need to be private. There are some things that your family needs to keep. So don't mistake vulnerability as disclosing everything that's going on in your life, okay? And in fact, I think disclosing everything actually ends up hurting you in the long run because you want vulnerability. The reason you want to be vulnerable with people is just because it's like there's a connection. That's all it is. It's to build a connection. Where you disclose everything and you're just like, my life is a hot mess all the time. That is actually going to hurt you very, very much in connection because that actually stops connection right there. So kind of talking about building an audience versus a community. Okay, that's kind of where I'm getting. Vulnerability invites connection. And that is what builds community. So a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, I think, okay, I'm getting on my platform. And when you use that word platform, like I'm standing up here with a microphone and I'm gonna say what I need to say. But that is actually like, that's just building an audience, and you're just speaking out. You're not affecting very many people. Okay. You may get a few people, but when you start building a community and a connection within your relationships with people, that is when you then have authority to speak into their life. They trust you with what you're saying. And so I just want you to look at whatever platform, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't matter which one you use. It is about connection, community over being an audience. Okay. You're not a megaphone, just like talking about yourself. Okay. Put that down and think about community. So before we get too far into this, I want you to know that there are seasons on social media, okay? There are gonna be seasons where you are planting a lot of seeds and you are working on connection and community, okay? That's a very real part of it, okay? There are going to be seasons where you are harvesting. You're gonna see the fruit of the work that you've done before. There is gonna be seasons of selling, just like, we had with Active, or when we have big specials and promotions going on. There's gonna be seasons of selling. It's like, okay, I've added value, connected, and now it's time that we're going to sell. So there are seasons in this business. The biggest issue that I see is people get stuck in one season too long. So I want you to think about, it's just a cycle, okay? Just like the seasons that, that are happening all around us, it is a cycle. Now, if we got stuck in winter too long, we'd all be miserable and hate winter. But we know spring is coming, and we know summer's coming now, and so it's exciting. So know that there's a season for planting and building deep relationships and community. You're not going to be sponsoring 20 people in 1 month at that time, okay? Then there's going to be seasons of harvesting. There's going to be seasons of selling. So just know that you don't want to stick in one place too long. It's okay to move through those seasons, okay? So I wanted to share just a little bit about how to build connection and how to build community. This does not mean that you're best friends with everybody and you're just chatting all day long, okay? That's not community and connection. Your focus is going to be to have people know you, have people like you, and have people trust you, okay? That's kind of this idea. When you are on social media and putting content out there, it needs to hit one of those three areas. Is it gonna help them know you more? Is it gonna help them like you more? Is it gonna help them trust you more? Knowing you is something kind of like what Allie was talking about, how you have your daily rhythms and you want to show that. That makes you a very, that's a normal person. And I feel like I know Allie because of her videos of her cooking. I feel like I'm literally like in her kitchen. And I'm like, oh, like I totally know you now. It is a one-sided, you're putting content out there, but you're building a connection and people feel like they know you when they see something repeated. Repetition is key. That's why you see even just holding a pink drink in your hand when you're posting about something totally different, it's a repeat. If there are things in your life, what are the things that you, it's almost like I don't even know what the word is, like something tangible that people are like, oh yeah, that's her, that's Cassie. For me, I had a letterboard for a long time, and I would do a letterboard and I would post it, and that was like my thing. I know people with Peloton, Peloton bikes. I'm like, yep, there she is. Like I know Sarah Marble's one of those. Like I associate Sarah Marble with Peloton. Like associating yourself with something. So think about that. Becca and her dog. I love it. Like I'm like, oh, there's her dog. that makes you know somebody, or it feels like you know someone. That's what you're after. So think about maybe a handful of things in your life that you can show up and repeat over and over and over. So one of the things that I do is in my living room is on my mantle, my home sign. I have that. I put that in a lot of my pictures because that's like something that represents a lot for me. And I want that to be a repeatable thing. Like when they see a picture, they're just scrolling and they're like, oh, there's Cassie, you know, like that's something, kids' names, your hometown, like things that are you. Just repeat them. And I know it's going to be weird to like feel like you're repeating it a lot. One of the girls that I know on Instagram, and this is a lot of this information comes from Susie School, and Susie School is on Instagram, brilliant lady who has learned how to really truly influence and connect to people. She's just brilliant. But what she does is at least 4 times a week, she holds a McDonald's cup. She goes to McDonald's drive-thru and gets a soda. And that is her thing. Literally, she does then swipe up for McDonald's and it goes to a funny YouTube video, like random, like the most funniest YouTube videos, like cat videos, like random things. But you know that she is going to do that. And what's crazy is she has created like this craze on Instagram where people then are like swipe up for McDonald's and they're holding their McDonald's cup. And she has created this whole community and connection. People feel like they know her because they know she's going to go to McDonald's. But she talks about it because she's like, she's a mom of a lot of little kids. She's exhausted. And she's like, I'm going to get my soda. Like that's her. But those are the kinds of things that make you smile and think, oh yeah, that's her. So be thinking about things like that. So that's knowing people. That's just feeling like you know who they are. And you all know, like, sometimes, like, you're like, have I actually really met this person in real life or not? That's what you want that's what you want people to feel about you. Liking, okay? This is not a popularity contest whatsoever, okay? Don't get sucked into that. Numbers mean nothing, okay? I'm going to tell you that straight up. It does not matter whether you have 200 Instagram followers or Facebook friends versus 10,000 or 100,000. What matters is their connection to you. It matters their engagement with you. Because if you are showing up and you're speaking to 10,000 people, but you're really not connected to any of them, but yet there's somebody that has 200 followers and they are tight and they know each other well, that person's going to convert on sales a whole lot quicker than the other person with 10,000. So don't think numbers mean anything in the matter of conversion. Popularity is not the key, okay? Conversion is the key, and conversion happens through connection, okay? That's how it happens. It has nothing else. So stories is kind of like what Allie was talking about, is video, okay? Mark Zuckerberg talks about in the next 5 years, 95% of all content that will be consumed is going to be video. So I hate video. I hate it, but I've learned to become comfortable with it. I made a decision, I guess it was a few months ago, it was probably 5 months ago, that I was going to show up in my stories differently. When I typically would do stories, I would do a graphic. I would like copy paste or screenshot graphics, and they would be graphics, okay? Or if I did video, I had the video, my camera pointing outwards, and I'm like videoing my kids doing stuff and videoing like what I'm seeing, okay? But I was challenged by this girl, Susie, who does Susie School, and she said, Cassie, your people could care less about what you see. They want to know you. And she's like, she started talking about like how to share a story, how to connect with people is by turning the camera around. And you can still show your kids and you can still tell the exact same story, but it's from your perspective. They want to see how you are reacting. They want to see your face. They want to hear it from you. Kelly, Corky, that's exactly what my issue was. I was like, I don't want to see myself. Like, I look like a hot mess all the time. But that's the thing, is lowering these, this feeling that you have to be perfect, that you have to show up with your best face on. It was like the worst thing. Like, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I had just gotten out of the shower and I had a bathrobe on, and I did a video, and I was like, this is like, I had no makeup on. This is my nightmare. But you guys, like, that is where I began to see a change in the way that I was connecting to people. People don't want to see you have it all together. People don't want to see you always dolled up. They want to see reality, because right now on social media, everything looks fake. And there is this huge movement towards showing up real, showing up in, like, I just, if I can tell you anything, this is a mindset thing. We are worried about showing up as ourselves, but you cannot make a difference in this world. You cannot connect with people if you are not willing to show up authentically. So, and I share all of this because this is what I'm currently even walking through. I tell you, like, I sit here and it's a mind game for me of like, oh, I know I need to go on my stories, but I look like junk, or I have nothing to say. Like, I don't even know what I would talk about. It's this mindset game that we get in thinking we have to, like Ali was saying, show up with A++++ content all the freaking time. Like, we don't. Like, people don't want that, because then it seems inauthentic, and it seems like you're just there to, like, I'm always going to inspire everybody with all my words of wisdom. People just want you showing up real. And sometimes that means showing up when you are very emotional. Sometimes that means, like, just showing up as who you are. My friend, she was like, you know what? You don't want to push the start button, the record button, but do it, because it's the raw emotion that is going to connect with people. So don't be afraid of raw emotion. Don't be afraid of showing up less than perfect, because that is when connection is going to actually happen. And so moving into trust, okay? So you want people to know you. You want people to like you. They're not going to like a perfect version. I tell you, there are people on Instagram and I look at their stuff and I'm like, that's way too perfect. Like, that's not for me. I would rather follow someone who, like, truly is showing up as themselves. And I have to fight this as a daily battle too. So I don't have this all together, but this is something I am learning to show up on social media as me. Okay. Trust. Okay. So trust is a fun little way to have social proof. Okay. So you can be sharing about plexus. You can be sharing about how great you feel all day long. But one of the most helpful things that you can do is show social proof. And what that means is, yes, you're talking about it, but when a girl that you just helped, get on the product 60 days ago, and she's seeing results, and she messages you, oh my goodness, I am feeling amazing. Thank you for sharing about this. Or I just lost 15 pounds or whatever. Crystal Ruiz, I believe is how you say her name, on Allie's team. She shared a post about the income, her paycheck that she had made, and what that meant for her family. Well, you know what I did? I went and shared it, because that is social proof about the income, okay? That is social proof that, yes, we're talking about, this $6 million stimulus and all of this, but hey, here is a girl, this is what she's doing with her real cash that she just got. So the more ways that you can do that. I love doing it with rank ups. I love, like, when somebody earns something, like Apple Watches, those are fun things. anytime you can be like, look, this is like legit really happening. It is so important. And I love, like, Allie does this a lot with text messages, and she just like blurs out the person's name. But that is social proof where she's like, don't just take my word for it, take this girl's word for it too. So that is huge. So, don't feel like that's spammy. Feel like that is something that is building trust. What you're saying, other people are buying into it, and they're seeing great results too. That it's not just for you. You're not the only one seeing and having great results. So know, like, and trust. Okay. That's really, like, literally every bit of content that you're going to put out there. It's not about plexus, right? Parts of it is. There's going to be part of it that is plexus, but you're building a personal brand. You are in the service industry. You are serving people. You just happen to be serving through some products. So you are building truly a personal brand. Okay. You're not building a plexus brand at all. So I want to share just a little bit about stories. There is kind of like what Allie was talking about, showing up consistently. If you are not showing up consistently, your number, the algorithm is going to stop showing you to as many people. I did this whole like test on my Instagram stories. If I showed up and there was no break for 24 hours, like it just kept going, like over probably a week, my numbers went up, my views went up by over 100 because I was showing up consistently. People started getting into a rhythm of seeing it. The algorithm started showing my my little stories bubble earlier, quicker on in the little lineup. It is key, because if you show up like one day here and then a few days drop off and then show up here, people begin not to trust you. They begin to think, okay, well, this isn't, important to her. And they also don't trust you in the plexus business too, because they're like, well, if she's not going to show up for me here, she's probably not going to show up with plexus for me. So this is just an avenue of not only for views and connection, but honestly, it's building trust. And that, don't paralyze yourself and feel like you have to have amazing content every time. For a long time, I lived in like this paralysis of, well, I have zero to talk about. I guess I'll just copy and paste somebody's testimony today because I have nothing to talk about. But just really having this viewpoint that you don't have to create content all the time. Like, you can do very small snippets. Today, I literally just did a letter board. I did a picture of a letter board and did like a couple sentences. And because it went along with kind of where I'm going, but it's not like this incredible content. So don't allow yourself to be paralyzed. Okay. Know that everything that you have to say is valuable. Okay. What is this letter board you speak of? Well, I don't have one in here, but where you like have the felt letter board and you like can write whatever you want on it. Yeah. So I will say that when you are doing stories, okay, most people listen to it with no sound on. So when you are talking, if you're making a video with your talking, most people have it muted. And so they just click super fast through your face and they don't have no idea what you're saying. So I encourage you to always type like letter text describing whatever you're saying on your video, and I think honestly, the way the brain works is, even though this is all visual, most of us are still just like, we're not really like soaking in and engaging in content. But so if we don't see text and letter, a lot of times our brains just like are mush and we're just like click, 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 click. But if you put words over your story, so you're writing out what you're saying, people are going to see it visually. And if they have their sound on, then they're going to get it auditorily as well, which is awesome. But most of the time, it's going to be muted. So just know that. Always, always, always try to put text on your video, okay? And that's on stories. Okay, let's see. I've gone over a lot of this. Yes, make sure as you're sharing can you do that if it's live? So live videos, you can get the wording. I can't even think of the word. What's the word?
Captions. You can get the
Yeah.
captions. Yeah.
Captions. So there's sites that you can put your video in and get it captioned. Allie's done that on several of yours, I think. YouTube also there's an option to put captions. It's not always correct, but you can do captions on your videos. So I think it's well worth doing it. For live videos, I don't always do it. Well, not for live videos, that's recorded videos. But for stories, unless I'm in like this massive rush, I try to always do it. So lastly, I'm gonna kind of close out with your message, okay? Your message has to be clear. Who you're speaking to, what your message is, because you need to know what your network's pain points, they call them pain points, what their struggles are, because your network is not going to stop and to respond unless you hit on a pain point. And a pain point is just something, if I don't do this, this is going to stay the same. So for me, when I was on food stamps, that was a pain point for me. If I don't do this, this will be my story for years, okay? So some people are driven by pain points. Some people are driven, it's kind of funny, like they say like, are you driven by the stick? You know, somebody running behind you with a stick, like I'm gonna catch you, or are you driven by the carrot? Some people are driven by the carrot, where and sometimes they call it the pinnacle point. Are you driven by the dream? Are you driven by like, I am gonna get that. Oh, I'm going after that. So that is why I'm gonna actually screen share. Let's see where this is. So I'm gonna send this link. I have some of these things. This was given to us at Emerald Extravaganza a few years ago. This is a customer, and you may have already, Allie may have put this, somewhere on your team page. I found this and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Why did I not use this when I first got it years ago? But this is about you finding your customer. This is the niching down that we talked about. This is super hard to do because it's like sitting down and thinking about, okay, who am I actually speaking to? Okay, I'm not speaking to everyone on Facebook. I'm not speaking to all my, all the people I went to high school with. I'm not speaking to everybody that I go to church with. I'm speaking to one person, okay? And that's hard. I'm speaking to one group. And you are actually going to create a ideal customer. They call them a customer avatar or something, but think about their name, their age, maybe their job. What do they love? What do they spend their time with? Who do they spend their time with? Let me see if I can go in a little bit. So this is going to be something I would love for you to work on, because this is going to help you craft your message so much clearer, and you're going to know exactly who you're talking about. So I want you to name your person. Like, I literally want you to name the person that you're talking to, because when you are writing your post, when you are doing your stories, you are going to be focused on, I am writing to Sally. Okay, that's who I'm writing to. And I know Sally. I know how old she is. I know what she does. I know what she cares about. I know, what she's doing today, basically. Like, everything about this girl. And the reason why this is so important is because those Sallys out there, when you're crafting your message to them, it's going to connect to them. It's going to connect to their pain point. It's going to connect to their pinnacle point, something that they want. So I have this in a PDF and I will share this with you. It takes some time to walk through, but I want you to really look at that. Then they gave us this thing, it's called posting categories. So once you find out who you're talking to, then it gives you some ideas of how to actually speak to them, okay? Like different categories of how you're gonna speak to them. So I found that super helpful. I also have a few other, let's see. So this is talking about the niche and a little worksheet to help you find your niche. So I have all this in like a PDF link that I'm gonna send you guys. It goes into the know, like, trust. It shares a little bit about Instagram, some do's and don'ts that if you want to learn a little bit more about Instagram, that's helpful. And it gives you like the specifics, like aiming for doing, instead of doing like 12 Instagram stories all at once, doing them throughout the day, never going above, I think they say, well, it says 6. 6 is the optimal number of stories. Because if you ever notice, like you go to someone's and they have like tiny little dots, like they've done like 30 Instagram stories and you're like, oh no, not today. And you swipe right by them. So thinking about like less is more and doing it throughout the day. So I'll give you all this and then some information on like captions. I thought this was some helpful information. Captions are always very difficult for me, but one of the things that I learned was the first line. The first line is key. I always thought like, oh, I'm just warming it up, right? I'm just warming up my caption. But I learned that has to be your headline. Like that, if they just read that one line, they know exactly what your post is going to be. It's kind of like the ending, like they know exactly what it's going to be and it captures their attention. So there's just some good stuff, some IG practices. I just threw all that in there. But this is all stuff that I learned from Susie's school, which was really, really helpful for me. But then I want to show you this, and it's not great quality, but what she was kind of sharing with us is like the STAR method, okay? In your business, your heart is beating out, okay? It's the why, it's exactly like, it's the essence of who you are, why you're doing this, your purpose, but that's not just enough to have, okay? Social media is probably down sales and marketing, okay? Innovation, systems, and analytics, okay? This is a business. As you know, you guys are all here learning how to do this because you want to grow your business. You want to bring in an income. So in a business, there's gonna be all these different points. And if you get focused on one too heavily, then you're gonna, ooh, there's a kid screaming, sorry. If you focus on one too heavily, you're gonna get out of balance. You want a perfect star shape. So we were talking about, let's see, let me see if I can go in closer to this. So sales and marketing is probably mostly what we talked about today. Marketing is getting ideal clients that want to do business with you, okay? It's kind of what we're talking about. Sales is selling your product, not just the marketing, but actually selling your product through your storytelling and through those connections that you've built through marketing. Innovation though, this is something that is really key. Serving your clients better than anyone else. Adding value, adding more value than anyone else. Knowing them better than anyone else. That's why we want to know, we want to have our customer avatar. We want to know them. We want to know what's important to them. And we want to know how we can add value to them, okay? Serving your clients better than anyone else, that might be when somebody signs up with you, how can you go the extra mile to show them like how much you are appreciative? I have sent out like these welcome envelopes now of, I do a sample of almost every product and a welcome book and a card. It's something I didn't do for a long time. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna go the extra mile. The next thing that I'm gonna do though, is I want to do an actual welcome like gift for my people, okay? So my new level ones, how can I serve them best? One of my sweet friends in Young Living, she orders them a small little diffuser off of Amazon. Anybody that signs up with her gets an Amazon diffuser. Amazon, whatever, from Amazon. And she was telling me, she's like, that's my irresistible offer. People sign up with me over someone else because they know that I'm going to give them that. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. So she was like, what things could you do? And my husband just took it, but the frother, like if somebody signs up for Slim, they order the welcome pack. And she was like, Cassie, send them a frother, one of those little like electric things that mixes your Slim, your collagen and everything. And she was like, or a water bottle, something that is like, you're serving your people better, because that like changes, you have a client relationship, and that changes a lot. Systems and analytics, those are always super awesome things. But I just wanted to share that with you because as we're talking about social media, remembering that this is just one aspect of it, okay? We're doing the marketing, we're doing the selling, really look at how you can show up and serve your clients best, and helping them onboard. I mean, it's this whole process. So looking at it as like, this is a whole, like, we're not just like over here just doing social media. Like, I mean, because that's only one part of it. This is the entryway into truly this whole other aspect. And so I don't want you to like focus too hard on one side. I want you to really look at, this is a whole package. And getting social media down so that you're marketing well, you're selling well, you're connecting with your customers well, you guys, that's when it's like gonna explode. And I'll tell you, like, it's taken me a long time to build on Instagram, because I built my entire business to diamond off of Facebook. That was exactly where, I mean, because that's where that's where it was all coming, like the fruit was just there, and I loved it. But over the last year, I have like, okay, I am gonna go into the world, the unknown world of Instagram. And it has been a longer road. I will tell you, I suggest Facebook is usually the most bang for most people that you'll get when you first start. Facebook is your warm market, because on Instagram, unless you have been on Instagram for a very long time and you have built a good network of connection, you're usually starting from ground zero with relationships there. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but just know that it takes time. So Facebook, you're probably going to have a lot more fruit coming because you've already done the know, the like, and the trust over on Facebook. Instagram, unless you have already built something there from ground zero. So just know that. Don't feel like you are behind on anything. Know that it's very different, okay? So I have spent about a year now of focusing on building that know, like, and trust over on Instagram. And it is just now really coming to see some fruition. But the cool thing is, like I was saying, is I have added 11 people in the last 3 weeks, and all of them are from Instagram. And the cooler thing about it is they are all people who are in my niche market, who want this as a business. They are jumping out and they are going for it. And so don't be afraid to niche down. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and let people know you, okay? You guys are all called to this because you have special, unique giftings, and you are going to touch and connect with people that I never could, that Allie never could. So don't downplay your passions. Don't downplay your giftings. Don't feel like you have to copy and paste. Like, you are original, you are unique, and let people see that, because that is what they want. So I hope this was helpful.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And everybody, we will post that PDF. And I want to make sure that everyone that watches this on the replay walks through it as well, because I think that's a really good exercise to even return to every quarter or every 6 months. Like, kind of make sure that you're talking to the right people and sharing the right content and solving their problems and speaking to them in the best way. But thank you, Cassie, so much. I will post this recording to our team page, and let's have everybody to watch it. I'm gonna have to go watch the replay and take more notes, but thank you so much for your time, and thanks everybody. Do you have any questions or anything? Anybody that's on? Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.